Are we truly in charge of our lives, or are we just passengers, carried along by forces far older and stronger than we ever imagined? It's a question that has haunted human beings for thousands of years. On one side we have the voice that says, you are the captain of your fate, you carve your own path, you get what you work for. It's comforting, even inspiring. It tells us that if we try hard enough, plan well enough, we can become anything we want. But life reminds us that it's not so simple. Sometimes, despite all our effort, the job doesn't come, the relationship falls apart, the illness appears, the world changes in ways we can't control. Then another voice speaks up, the one that says, maybe you were never really in control. Maybe you are the product of your biology, your upbringing, the family you were born into, the country you live in, the culture that shaped your mind long before you knew what choice even was. Neuroscientists like Robert Sapolsky argue that free will is mostly an illusion, that we act out scripts written by genetics and environment, stress and hormones, accidents of birth. And yet, most of us feel there is something more, a flicker of possibility that we are not just puppets pulled by invisible strings. So this is where a different way of seeing things comes in, a gentle, more honest way that holds both truths at once. Imagine your life as a river. You didn't choose where it begins. You didn't choose the shape of the mountains that feed it, or the rocks that lie in its bed. You didn't choose the storms or the droughts that change its flow. These things come from far upstream, from your ancestors, your parents, the world you were born into. But if you look closely, you'll see that a river is never static. It carves new paths. It carries stones and deposits silt that becomes fertile ground. It bends around obstacles. Over time, even a tiny pebble can shift the flow. So too can you. You can't force the river to turn all at once, but you can place small stones. You can plant trees along its banks to keep the soil strong. You can build bridges where the water runs too fast. Bit by bit, you help shape the flow. This is what it means to live with guided emergence. You do not control every detail of your life. You do not choose the cards you're dealt. But you do choose how you play them, again and again. Science tells us our brains are wired to change. New thoughts, new habits, new relationships reshape our pathways. What felt impossible before can, through patient effort, become second nature. It doesn't happen overnight, but the river does bend. And the same is true for how we see each other. If you've ever looked at someone struggling and thought, why can't they just get it together? Remember the river. Remember that each person's flow was shaped by invisible forces. A childhood full of chaos or safety, parents who listened or didn't, trauma that rewired trust, chance encounters that lifted or crushed hope. If we see each other only through blame, we miss what's really possible. A gardener doesn't yell at a plant for not blooming. A gardener asks, what does this soil need? What light is missing? What water is lacking? The same is true for people. Some lives flourish because they grow in good soil. Others wither for lack of light. Our responsibility is not just to work harder as individuals, but to tend the garden we share, to build communities, schools, and systems that help everyone grow, even if they started with rocky ground. Guided emergence is not about being endlessly optimistic. It knows storms will come, and they won't always be fair. It knows you will have setbacks, that you will get tired, that old habits sometimes pull you back. But it also knows that every small change matters. Every good book you read, every new skill you practice, every gentle word you speak to yourself when you fail. These moments are stones in the river. And so, this philosophy is both humbling and empowering. It reminds you that you do not have full control, so you can let go of the burden of perfection. But it also reminds you that you are not powerless, so you do not give up hope. It asks you, who do you spend time with? What do you feed your mind and your body? What spaces do you choose to live and work in? What stories do you tell yourself about who you are? And what new ones might you write instead? It calls you to make room for compassion, for yourself and for others, to see the web of cause and effect that binds us all, and still believe in the seeds you can plant today, to be gentle with your past and bold with your future, And to remember that what you nurture now may become the shade and shelter for someone else down the line. And when you look at the world, at all the ways it can be unfair, at all the suffering that feels too big to fix, hold this: the river cannot change everything at once. But one bend at a time, over years, even centuries, rivers carve canyons. Small pebbles become mountains moved. This is how real change happens, not by force alone but by steady, thoughtful tending. So take your place in the river, be patient, be awake, learn, plant the seeds that matter to you, help others tend their gardens too, accept what you cannot control, but do not forget what you can shape. In the end, your life is not about being perfectly free or perfectly determined. It is about being present enough to notice when you can guide the flow, brave enough to keep trying, and wise enough to do it with kindness. You are the water, the stone, the bank, the tree. You are the gardener and the garden. You are both shaped and shaper. In each small, patient act, you carry the river forward, bending the path for all who will follow. And that is enough.